else pops in, well, I hope I don't have to like explain myself all over again, but what we're doing today is basically breath training and breath awareness. And as breath is the number one element for survival, more important than than food, than water, because it is what we cannot live without for more than a few minutes. This is the most important thing that we have is air and the way we use that air. So our lungs are not muscles, they're organs, and they serve as containers and treatment plants, if you will, where air comes in and then we grab the oxygen out of that air, right? And we transfer that oxygen throughout the whole body for the body to produce energy at a cellular level. And then on the exhale, we offload CO2 or carbon dioxide. That's pretty much it. But on top of that, the way we engage the musculature around the lungs will have different impacts in our psychology and physiology, emotional even bodies. So for instance, nowadays, and for a long time, lots of people, like most people actually, tends to breathe with accessory muscles. They're called accessory muscles for a reason of breathing. These are your extra helpers. Like if you need them, you put them on, but they're not the main ones. They're not the go-to ones. Yet people are using them the most. And these are your chest muscles, shoulder and neck muscles. So this is your, kind of shallow, short, upper area of breathing. And I'd like to know if you identify with it. At some point, have you noticed how your patterns of breathing has to do more with these upper areas? Because I do. I hop on and off that boat. Well, it turns out when we are anxious, when we are scared, when we are super stimulated at a nervous system level, first thing that you notice going fast and going up here is the breath. First bodily trait, besides maybe facial expressions, besides that, you notice that there is an acceleration in the breathing pattern, right? And a shift to the upper. So this, like when you enter the cold plunge, for instance, everything is like up here, So that's an indicator that that breathing pattern is related to your alert or survival mode. Okay, so what happens when it's happening by default, just naturally, we are sending the signal to the brain that tells the brain, hey, there's something that's not right. Something is bothering us. Something is threatening us. So the brain releases more adrenaline and cortisol, which are the neurotransmitters or hormones of alertness. But what if we are not being chased by a tiger, or we're not being, confronted by, a thief or whatever? We're just walking down the street, commuting, or we're just, reading an article or washing dishes or doing landscape. But the breathing pattern, since it is going by default to that area, is telling the brain that story, and then the brain is feeding the body with more of those substances, if you will, that makes you actually contract your muscles and your heart rate, to go up, and all in all, a feeling of not being so comfortable. So that's a very common story. And based on that story, what this workshop intends is to retrain some of us, because lots of us have lost that, belly breathing, flipping the equation, and instead of breathing here, going to the diaphragmatic area. And the diaphragm is the most important muscle in the breathing system. So when I said that the lungs are not muscles or organs, again, they rely on the musculature around them. Well, then we have the diaphragm sitting at the bottom, helping the lungs to expand downwards, and so gaining more room downwards, where, by the way, most of the volume is. The wider areas of the lungs are the bottom areas. So that means there's more, more oxygen absorption and more CO2 offload. so more gas exchange in the bottom. Then if we go, well, by the way, the abdominal region and the obliques are also breathing muscles. Thanks to them, we can exhale, we can squeeze in, squeeze the belly, and so we can squeeze the diaphragm up again, and then exhale. But then if we keep moving up, we have the intercostal. Intercostal means in between the ribs muscles. These are actually helping us to expand the rib cage sideways and back and forward a little bit. So this is our lateral breathing mostly, and mid-section breathing. And then finally, we have the accessory muscles that I mentioned in the beginning. But the equation should always be, belly first, or diaphragm. Belly or abdominal breathing are just two different cues to denote that it is a diaphragmatic breathing. Because what really happens is that the diaphragm, which is sitting here, expanded downwards, and then the guts have to move. They move out of the way, they move forward. Because the diaphragm, as it descends, it pulls the bottom, the lungs downwards, it gains all that room, and it needs all that room, so that room is occupied by the guts move forward. So that's why our bellies protrude when we force the air down and expand the bottom of the lungs. So the diaphragm is a muscle that most likely in 80% of individuals is lazy, is proven many times by just studies and observation and anecdotal experience. All of it points at most people having diaphragms that are just lazy, stagnated, and it's not our fault. It happens usually during childhood when we are naturally belly breathers, and all of a sudden when we start gaining awareness of the dangers of this world and the things that are not fully perfect, whether it's news, or I always use the example of at school, like the angry teacher or the bully kid, or it starts shifting that breathing pattern, like oh my God, like when you're out of the protected nucleus of your home, and then you start figuring out that there's danger out there and whatnot, then you start going to that breathing pattern. And if no one tells you how to regulate it and go back to normal, then you keep carving through that path, and then all of a sudden it just becomes so ingrained or embedded in your nervous system that it's normal almost. And now we're thinking always of claiming it, reclaiming it, bringing it back to original. So we're going to separate those three areas and work on them with specific breathing exercises to activate those areas and warm them up and connect and strengthen them, okay? So that's basically the whole premise. We're going to start also with a breath hold. Do you guys remember last year's? Do you by any chance remember your times?
Oh, it's my line.
I
know I'm going for 4 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, we had a couple of...
2.5.
Yeah, that's great. We had a couple of people, and this is, I always say, shouldn't be like a contest between us, but within us, just to see where we can get it, because we're going to try it twice. And so in the first one, it's just basically out of intuition and whatever preparation you feel like you have, then you use that, or mindset, you use that. But then on the second one, we'll go through some tools, and you've already also been gone through the warm-up, which is the activation of those three areas with specific breathing exercises. So the second breath hold, you're going to maximize your lung capacities. You're going to also have a better mindset to deal with both the realization phase, which is usually the first thing that happens, but then when things become uncomfortable, also you're going to have a better head to deal with it and tools to play with it. So most likely you'll add 20, 30 seconds, sometimes double your first breath hold time. And also it taps into a concept of physiology that's named the mammalian dive reflex, or marine mammal instinct. Mammalian dive is diving reflex, which basically it's a built-in tool that helps us to down-regulate and lower our heart rate, and you trigger it just by holding your breath. And if you add water, it gets even better, because water even tells the brain like, hey, we need to conserve energy because we're underwater. So on Thursday on the pool training, there's going to be another set of breath holds we're doing, and building more resilience and capacities. But for now, you guys are gonna lay on your backs comfortably, and we're gonna go for the first breath hold. After the first breath hold, we're gonna jump into the warm up. Okay. Well, the breath hold itself is gonna be already a warm up, and the protocol is gonna be. While I talk, I'm just gonna roll a couple of mats. The protocol is gonna be that I'm going to count down from 10. When I get to 1, everyone at the same time takes that deep breath in and holds for as long as possible. So you're gonna hold your breath with full lungs. And if you ask me, oh Marcel, after I took that last breath in, I felt so packed that I had the urge to let some air out in order to feel more comfortable. This is very common to hear. And what I always say is, if letting a little bit of air out makes you feel more comfortable, welcome, do it. But before you do it, why don't you just give yourself a few seconds to see if your brain and your body will adapt to that packing sensation, to that internal pressure, because oftentimes you actually kind of level the field and you get used to it. And if it persists, then yeah, let some air out. Because when you let air out, there's also oxygen going out the door. Oxygen that will keep your tissues comfortable and through the duration of the breath hold. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way and have you guys, think about that. All right, so I'm gonna start a countdown.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, please.
So we hold our breath, and then do we exhale and then tell you we're done, or do we tell you we're done before we exhale?
Yeah, the moment you exhale. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I was gonna point that out, but thanks. So the moment you let go, you exhale, raise your hand. That's all. And then
Exhale really slow.
yeah, like may as well. So here's the thing. Again, if that air that you have in you is sustaining, there's oxygen in that air that's feeding cells, just so the cells don't go hypoxic or low levels of oxygen don't affect you that quick. Like if not for as a test, just exhale fully and hold your breath. You probably within 20 seconds you're going to feel the urge to breathe. But if you fill your lungs completely, there's an oxygen tank available for you for the duration. It's almost like diving for the duration of the breath hold. So if you let air out, it's like you're emptying your tank. So I would wait for the last, I would wait until I can't breathe anymore and I've already put a fight and cope or bear with that discomfort for until I go, okay, my mental capacity is now, this is the limit. I reach the limit, I have to breathe. And then you let all the air out. Maybe not all the air, but most of it. And so that's when it's noticeable. Okay, she's breathing again. And then you raise your hand on top of that just to make sure that I notice. But again, in between that, there is a sensation sometimes after that last inhale that you go, oh, feels so much pressure, is making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna let a little bit of air out and see if that decreasing of the pressure makes me feel more comfortable so I can relax and focus, right? And before you do that, you go, I'm gonna give it a few seconds just to see if everything kind of falls into place and I relax, because the body always adapts, sometimes longer, shorter time duration. But know that if you're planning to exhale a bit, just you want to feel more comfortable, not so much that pressure, that there's vital oxygen going out as well that you may need throughout the breath hold. Okay, so yeah, let's pack those lungs as much as possible on that last inhale. Hold for as long as possible, and when you definitely have to breathe, that'll be letting the air out, most of it, and raising your hand. In that very moment, I will point out your time so you can take a mental note. Okay, that's 1 minute, that's fine. We'll work on better breath hold on the second one. Guys, ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale deep. Feel those lungs as much as possible, and off we go. This is 30 seconds. Good job, guys. We're getting close to 1 minute. Very nice. Strong mind, relaxed body. That's 1 minute flat and 102. Good. Now make sure you breathe in and out strong. The two of you just move a lot of air, maybe through a wide open mouth. Let it sound, make it audible. So you remove extra, offload extra CO2 buildups. We are 5 seconds away from 130, guys. So 1 minute is a very good baseline for the very first breath hold. 130, of course, is even better, and we're at 130. Good job. We are at 140 currently, guys. I was 144, actually. So move a lot of air in and out through the mouth, wide open. Make it audible, make it audible. Yes, sir, we're about to hit the 2 minute mark. And this is 2 minutes. And sure thing, that expectation of that mark we're hitting today, it's being fulfilled slowly. And we are at 2:15. 15 more seconds to the 2:30 mark, which will be a very good baseline for the first breath hold of today. So 5 seconds away from 2:30. Diaphragm moving on its own, which is a great physiological trait and signal. This is 2:30. The diaphragm moving on its own is like inner hiccups, and this is positive because it's sending oxygen to the brain to keep the brain nurtured. And as an autonomic response, 2:45, 15 more seconds to the 3 minute mark. As an autonomic response, the diaphragm is pushing to restore respiration, but the conscious self is controlling things, and the conscious self just got to 3 minutes. Okay, breathe strong, move a lot of air, lots of air circulating in and out, maybe wider, wider airway through the mouth. Inevitably, the CO2 levels are very high. So we want to do the best possible to let it out, offload it. Good job. Let's keep on breathing that CO2 out. Got a little dizzy? You pushed it. You pushed it. This is good. 3 minutes. So you guys did really good breath holds. We had high expectations over there, and we're getting there. So this is good. Everyone is different, and we are also different every day. If it turns out I drink coffee this morning, my breath hold is not going to be the same, because coffee usually raises the heart rate a little bit, so it's harder to keep that, heart beating slower. It's a stimulant after all. So for instance, or if I didn't get the best night of sleep, or my body battery is low, breath holding takes energy too. It takes mental energy mostly. So we may do the same breath hold tomorrow, and it probably will be, you never know, maybe 2:30 or maybe 3:30, or maybe this will be 2:30 or 3 or 1:30. So it is like your blood pressure or your blood glucose or your VO2 max, it oscillates. So it is nice to know where we're at a given day. And generally, it's...
Where's the average here? Like what's the
I think 1 minute. and somebody fairly fit and also, you know, sane. Yeah, because it is mental too, right? You can tell. You can tell at some point it's like a mental game, like telling yourself to relax, you know, that everything's going to be okay. Coping with discomfort, so your tolerance to discomfort also plays out. There's people who's, you know, anything will bother them, and there's usually people who will give up really easy. Yeah, short. It's just like the attention span. There's people with higher attention span, and they're able to sit still and pay attention. Same with the tolerance to discomfort. You know, there's people who just go, well, whatever. You know, I'm committing, and if I know this is also making me stronger, I'm just going to deal with it. You know, which is a great mindset. Good job, guys. So while we're laying, if you'd like to remain laying, I'm going to pass you a yoga block, and then you're going to put it on your belly. We're going to start the first exercise. This is diaphragmatic breathing at its finest. Diaphragmatic breathing at its finest is what freedivers do. That's what actually Jay Moriarty, rest in peace, was doing every time, you know, he will dive for, you know, free diving or spearfishing. And the idea behind diaphragmatic breathing is that your diaphragm muscle is connected to the brain by the vagus nerve, cranial nerve number 10 out of 12. And that nerve, it's a downregulator for the nervous system. So when you pull off of that string or nerve through the diaphragm moving up and down, you're like pulling that, it rings a bell in the brain telling the brain, hey, we're good. Release the feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters, those who will help our body to actually decrease pain and inflammation, lower the heart rate, improve the circulation all throughout the body, relax the musculature. So we have less demand of energy. We're at a parasympathetic state. Parasympathetic, that's your rest, digest, and recover mode, in which everything slows down. And so you're able to last longer in a breath hold, and you're able to feel more, you know, at peace and ease. So this is the idea behind diaphragmatic breathing, and this is how we're going to do it. So as the air comes in on your inhale, that block that's going to be on your belly, it's going to raise as much as possible. It's going to lift as high as possible. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And so that block is going to raise as high as possible. And we're going to use the mouth only for training purposes, because the mouth, along with the trachea, all of that musculature throughout that airway offers more traction, more stronger stimuli for muscle engagement, so you're able to pull more air in, okay? And you're able to engage that diaphragm. Also, we're constricting that airflow, we're restricting the airflow through shaping our lips like an O. So you can kind of feel, oh, I have to like really work to get that air in because it's restricted. So through causing that restriction, you're having your diaphragm muscle to really engage, to like pull down against that, you know, restriction. So it works, you know, it gets to work. As the air comes in on that audible vacuum-like sound, inhale, the belly goes up. So we're mechanically forcing the guts to move out of the way so that the diaphragm can descend and expand the lungs downwards so we can gain more room. Okay? We hold at the top, right? We hold at full lower lungs so that that block remains at the top for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. As we even push further, just push. And as you're doing that push, tighten your perineal muscle, the muscle in between the legs as you're holding to go get to the restroom, okay? Hold that tight so that the pressures don't go down, you know, and affect the pelvic floor. It all stays nice and, you know, sideways and up, okay? And then after that 2 second, 3 second hold, start your exhale and keep your exhale with an S, prolonged, soothing sound, S. Pushing the air out with the top of your roof, you know, and your tip of the tongue against each other. So you emit an S sound that keeps the lungs open for the duration of the exhale. So it keeps the lungs, you know, bringing in oxygen as even the air goes out. that exhale will last 3, 4 times, 5 times more than your inhale, okay? So let's do it together at the count of 3. Exhale fully. 2, empty your lungs. 1, now. The block goes up on the inhale, then you hold at the top. Lock that air in there, tighten your in between of the legs muscle. Push up and there, and exhale. Exhale fully. And at your own pace, inhale again. Let that inhale be a little faster and stronger. More forceful. Hold the top again at your own pace. Keep working on that raising and dropping of that block. And again, you hold at the top for 2 to 3 seconds as you keep pushing your belly up. So you want to raise that block as high as possible at the end of your inhale. Tighten your perineal muscle, like if you're holding to get to the restroom. Good job, guys. This is diaphragmatic breathing at its finest. That's the way freedivers do it before holding their breaths or diving deep, so that they're decreasing their heart rate, pace, and they're bringing more oxygen to the tissues, so more oxygen usage. They're relaxing their musculature. All in all, tapping into parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. We're gonna do 4 more breaths, and then we're gonna finish with a nice set of sighing. Sighing, suspirando. ¿Quieres que te deje aquí, bro? Te lo dejo ahí. Feel that nice pressure internally as you exhale. S sound. One more breath and we are good. Let's seal this exercise with a few sighs. I'm going to remove the blocks so you can just hand them to me. Thank you. Sighing. Sighing. Sighing with sound, sighing to bring in even more relaxation. Nice, guys. Take a few seconds if you feel like stretching any body part. If you feel comfortable, then that's fine. We're gonna adopt a sitting position and we're gonna work on intercostal musculature now, okay? So let's all sit, and by the way, let's work with each other. So what we're gonna do now, I'll explain. You guys probably remember this. We're gonna push onto each other's ribs. So you're gonna sit behind each other and just put those hands in where you feel the most bone density, all those ribs, and just squeeze the ribs out of your buddy or sibling or spouse, family member. And now the breathing pattern changes. It goes from here to here. So we're keeping that belly in now. We're not going to push that belly out anymore. So we are mechanically forcing the air to go to the sides. So it's going to look and sound like this. If I was to do it on my own, if I were to do it on my own, it'll look and sound like this. So pretend that these are hands coming from behind. But I can also do it on my own if I didn't have a buddy to do it with. Can you notice the expansion here? So I'm keeping the belly in. At the end, I'm locking the air and pushing out. Same way you push the belly out, you're pushing the, you're making yourself feel and look more robust here in this, like hunching over even a little bit. At first, you keep the back straight, but then once you finish your inhale, you lock and you press out as if you're trying to spit the air through the ribs, and then you're gonna feel that nice expansion, okay? All right, so we're gonna have to be very emphatic. So I'll explain something about lung capacity after this. All right, boys and girls and everybody, press firmly, almost like if you want to break their ribs. 3, pushing in, yeah. 3, 2, 1. Nice, shoulders down at the end of the inhale. Press onto those hands with your ribs and exhale fully. Maybe exhale faster this time on this one. And back to your next inhale. Robust. You guys pressing, you feel the ribs moving, right? And okay, great. 2 more breaths. Keep pressing firmly on those ribs. 1 more. Great. And now let's switch. Good. So before we keep going, I'd like to talk briefly about the biomarkers for good health and longevity. There's many: grip strength and heart rate variability and VO2 max, your functional movement patterns and all that, blood constant, glucose levels, blood pressure levels, all of that. Lung capacity is a big one. And your lung capacity, why? Because again, if you're able to bring in more air, you're able to bring in more oxygen with it, you're able to provide for more energy, better oxygen usage, and also you are able to downregulate yourself better. So lung capacity is exactly what we're working on, and it benefits athleticism, it benefits decision making, level head, level nervous system. It benefits all, and especially those who you guys are in good shape, and you're probably athletes at your own sports, and this is very beneficial for sports. If you're able to move more air and to do it properly and to do it with the right areas, you're able to perform better. So let's do it. Probably gonna have to bear hug your boy. There you go. Okay, firmly in. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Mouth inhale for now because it offers more strength. Shoulders down, push out on those hands, and exhale. That exhale, let it be faster, that exhale, and inhale strong. Can you feel those ribs moving out and those muscles? Even the lats are engaging, right? Feel completely great. That's it. Yeah. It gets a little bit tiring, but it is like that. It is basically converting yourselves into a sort of corset, pressing. So there's no other way to train the muscles of breathing other than applying pressure on them and just using them, engaging them. And forcing that pressure away, because there's no eccentric and concentric, because there's no joints, so you're not being able to extend and compress or bend, and so you just have to engage those muscles and apply pressure on them, and they become stronger. So you're training your breathing muscles, which also some of the breathing muscles have to do with aesthetics, even like the abs, for instance. The abs are our breathing muscles, and they're definitely like a protection or shell for your guts, but also they are breathing muscles. They help you to squeeze the air out. So by engaging them, you're actually working on them. So that's good. Okay, so next stage is that accessory muscles. So by the way, did you also feel some lats engaging on this one? Okay, so the lats also helps. Some of those lats attached to the the bottom of the lats helps to expand the rib cage out. So again, you gain more capacity. Now the accessory muscles will help the top of the lungs to raise up more, to gain more space upwards. Same concept for this one, but now on the top. So even when you use the chest, but you do it with more awareness, not with that, default mode where you're not even thinking about it. When you do it with more depth and more consciousness, the result is actually more relaxing than activating. So I always say there's not a problem on breathing with these muscles. The problem is breathing with these muscles only. You should always, so the premise and one of the breakaways or takeaways for this breath work is first, second, and third in order of importance. So we should always start at the bottom right here and move up as we need it. Usually 1 and 2 are what you want to use. Now they're called accessory up here because again they're extra, they're helpers. You put them on when you need them, and that's most likely when the physical exertion takes you to levels that you basically have to bring in more air. So okay, let's recruit the upper chambers. That's when you feel the upper chambers, and that'll be your heart rate zone, maybe 3 and up, right? Because zone 1 and 2, you're able to. Oh, that's nice.
What is that?
That is actually a hawk, but I'm not sure if it's a roadside hawk, a gray hawk. There's a few hawks,
How's that guy?
but that was
Yeah, it was like
I think it's maybe a roadside hawk. Oh, that's a vulture. That's a vulture, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, but the guy. Oh, look, this guy right here. So pretty. Oh, nice.
Besides the parrots this morning, it's
Parrots, yeah. Look at this guy. I think this guy is kind of feisty with the vulture. Okay, so that's a crested caracara. Crested caracara hawk. It's got the crest, the little mohawk kind of. Yeah. Yeah, these guys are like big hunters. So now, ¿viste ese bichillo, no? Qué lindo. Un cara a cara, weón. And there's another one hovering. I love these guys. This is our Air Force. Because we don't have an army, right? So this is our Air Force. So salute. So, guys, we are about to then engage the third and last stage of 3, and it's going to look and sound like this. Basically, if you look at me for a second, it'll be so. And then once you have all the stop and filled, you roll your shoulders down or back, and you puff up your chest, and you wait those 2 to 3 seconds, puffing up your chest, and then start your exhale. So did you notice on every stage we feel that and then we press into it? This is to keep the lungs tissues flexible, because flexibility in the lungs tissue is very important, as strength in the muscles around it is very important. Then you are establishing neuromuscular connections or dusting them off. That's the case. Yeah, in fact, dusting them off, because they've always been there. But it was just rewiring, if you will, of the musculature, neuromuscular connections. So let's do the upper and 3-4 breaths, and then we're going to put them all together into one deep breath. And then that breath is going to be way better than the breaths before, because we're warming up. So empty your lungs fully and start pulling that air from the middle to the top. 3, 2, 1. Shrug those shoulders towards the end, seeking for more space, and then hold, bring those shoulders down, puff up your chest, and exhale. Again. Shoulders down at the end, puff up your chest, feel that nice pressure up here, and analyze the bodily sensations, internal sensations when that air is really filling those top areas. And just pack that air in you in the top of the lungs. One more breath. Good job, friends. There's a big chance you got lightheaded because it's very normal, very normal. The reason is we're getting very close to the head and there's pressure receptors in the neck. So when we're close to the neck, those baroreceptors kind of constricts a little bit the blood flow to the brain. A couple sighs. Couple of spine rotations. Maybe have those spinal vertebrae crack a little bit. Sideways. Good job, guys. Okay. Next thing is to put them, the three of them together into one breath, for which I'm going to demonstrate first, and then you guys will just practice. And from this exercise, we are transitioning from mouth to nose, okay? So we're gonna do 5 cycles of belly, ribs, and chest. Inhale, exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly, for which you will only have to think of keeping the belly for last, or letting the belly deflate at last. Because if you think of how do I deflate my chest, it's not very easy. And so you just keep that belly up towards the end on the exhale. So you inhale and exhale in the same, or opposite order. 5 of those, and then we switch to 5 fully nasal, okay? So we're little by little transitioning to the, most coherent pattern of breathing, which is nasal, belly, and ribs. Chest if you need it, but of course we're just reiterating all the 3 stages in order to use whatever we need at the moment when we have to, and also slowing down each inhale, each exhale. These will be the 3 main points of today's results, if you will. Slowing down the breath, running it through the nostrils, and doing it in the right order. Okay. So it's gonna look like this, guys, for the first 5 breaths. I want you to be very emphatic in the order. So it's gonna look like this. Now you are connecting the 3. What you just did separate, now you're joining all together. One more. Oh. Forgot the order on the way out. And then we're gonna switch to nostrils. And then after that, we are preparing for the second breath hold, okay? I'm gonna pour some lavender oil, like a drop of lavender oil in your index finger. You can rub the back of your ears with that lavender, so you have that near you. Lavender, very soothing of the nervous system. Never heard of anyone being allergic to it, so there you go. Rub the back of your ears, and maybe even, like around the neck or whatnot, so you can have that near you. And it reminds you of just being relaxed. And all right, so anytime, I want everybody to you know, move their bellies, their ribs, and their chest in that right order. And I'll be just checking. Nice, that's a deep breath right there. Deep breaths right there. Visualize every area also moving. Feel it and visualize it. Nice. Leave the belly for last on the exhale. So keep that belly up on the exhale. And then that's the last thing that goes down, exactly. Nice. Yeah, it's hard. It is.
Inhale's easier.
Exactly, it's true. But you know, like everything, with repetition, with repetition, with repetition. Ooh, nice breeze. Wow. Yeah, but you're doing it, you're doing it. Belly. There you go, belly, ribs, and chest. Nice. Now, at some point, if you guys have already done maybe 4 or 5 through the mouth, then let's switch to nasal breathing. Nasal breathing fully. There you go. Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to remove the bolster and see if that also kind of releases. Do you mind?
Yes, go ahead.
That releases the, you know, the sort of bending or bit of restriction in the top, in the accessory muscles area. By being more flat, you may even have a little more control on that lower abdominal regions. And at this particular moment, emphasizing the inhale and just pushing the belly up as the air comes in will do it. And also it's important to know that we only want a little bit of activation at first in the belly because we want to keep some traction or some juice, you know, to keep going up, to keep moving up. There you go. Now when you hold the breath for 3 seconds, press the belly up, and then that's your starting point to keep it up as the air goes out, and then finally, Nice. Exactly. Push the belly up as you exhale. Good. I know it's a counterintuitive sort of, yeah. It is. No, but you're there. You're doing it. You're doing it. And every repetition gets better. At some point, though, we are bringing the intensity down to just more of a tidal pattern. You know, just connection for sure, but not so much not so much pressure. You know, not so much intensity. Yet just connection and awareness of the belly, the ribs, the slowing down of the breath, and running it through the nostrils. So I'm gonna let you guys do that for a few more rounds. Then I'm gonna talk about the 3 tools, the 3 main tools for breath holding, for your breath holding journey to be more pleasant. The first one is an element borrowed from yoga nidra, which is a type of yoga that's is very much body awareness centered, analyzing every body part and just really becoming connected or in touch with it. So there is a concept called the body scanner, and it starts at the head and it goes all the way down to the toes and back up to the head. And as that body scanner sweeps through your body, it's detecting tension. And so it is an exercise of self-awareness. So as that tension is detected, even the smallest of the tensions, then is a good time to release and let go. So that's the first tool for your breath hold journey, is the body scan. That'll help you enter deeper states of relaxation at a muscular level, which is going to connect with nervous system. Then the second tool is visualization. Athletes use this a lot. They just set up some time during the day to visualize themselves performing at their best of their abilities. Imagining your best personal at a given sport, the sport that you like, that you're passionate about, or your hobby or art form. It could be even like music or painting or dancing, or if you're a chef, you're cooking this amazing dish. Just visualize vividly, like in full color, what a really good performance is. And there's a big chance next time you try that beloved sport or hobby or art form, you're going to perform better after doing visualization. And in the meantime, you're letting time go by without having to think of it. So that's the second tool, okay? Visualization. Whatever moves you, inspires you, just visualize yourself like it's reality, okay? Third and last is focusing on good bodily sensations or sounds, whether it is the breeze, both the sound and the sensation of the breeze, maybe the music, maybe the water on that pond back there. If there's birds singing, you can just go really like focus on those sounds and try and imagine that wind, imagine that water, those birds. And as a plus, you can count numbers in your head slowly, okay? Slowly counting numbers. 1 Costa Rica, 2 Costa Rica, 3 Costa Rica, or Mississippi's, either or. Okay, so this will be your toolbox. And if there's anything else that you can think of that you like to focus on, that doesn't have to be with complex thinking, because complex thinking will burn more oxygen and energy, then welcome. You're welcome to use whatever you feel like you have as tools, okay? So, body scanner, visualization, focus on good, bodily sensations and sounds, and maybe counting numbers slowly in your head. Visualizing those numbers, the shape of them being drawn on a whiteboard, for instance. We're gonna throw a few sighs, and as we throw those few sighs, our bodies are slowly disconnecting from the musculature. So most recommended posture is the Shavasana yoga pose, where you have your hands near your thighs or your waist, with just fully disconnected. And we're gonna sigh, friends. We're gonna sigh, guys, for 10 times as I count down. That last breath in is going to be the deepest, the fullest breath of your life. Mouth. From the bottom to the top, exercising all 3 stages. We just warmed up, okay? Right when I get to 1, that's when everybody at the same time does it. Let's sigh together with sound. Let's sigh, guys. Make it audible. With every sigh, there's more relaxation throughout the whole body. Sigh with sound. Fully relax. You can start your body scanner now. I'm going to start a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deepest breath of your lives. Good job, guys. Off we go. Start releasing any tension with your body scan. Good job, guys. We are at 30 seconds. Time is flying. All is well. Good job. You guys are looking relaxed and strong. Enjoy the practice. You're doing epic stuff. Breaking boundaries. This is great. 1 minute. Your biology and Mother Nature are helping you by lowering your heart rate. So take that moment and make it last for as much as you can. And when it turns into a little discomfort, be glad for it because it is making you stronger. 1:30. Great job, everybody. Smile to discomfort whenever it knocks at your door. It is making you a stronger person. You got what it takes. You're strong. Your body can go further and longer. This is 150, buddy. Almost 10 seconds to 2 minutes. And this is 2 minutes. And breathe, 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 breathe. The two of you, breathe in and out. Lots of air moving. That's great. 150 and 2 minutes. We're currently at 210, 215 actually. Heading to 230 pretty soon. Stay strong in your mindset. Smile at discomfort internally and externally. And this is 230, my friend. 230. And we keep going. Breathe in and out. Strong, strong, strong. Lots of air moving. Great. Breaking through. And if we were to do a third one, it'll be even higher. You'll probably get to 3 minutes. And we are currently at 250. Good stuff. We are hitting the 3-minute mark in 5 seconds. 3 minutes and going. This is amazing, the fight that you're able to put, all of you. And this is just toughening your minds to deal with discomfort, which is a great friend. It sucks, but it's great, you know. We are at 325, about to hit the 330 mark, which is an epic mark at 321. This is 330. And putting a great fight. Putting a great fight, my friend. 338. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Move lots of air. Emphasize, 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 emphasize. Blue lips. A little bit of blue lips. That's great. That's the oxygen being very low and now is recovering. So also what you do when you hold your breath like this is that you stress your cells. And your cells are learning how to function without so much substrate. So they're becoming more efficient, believe it or not, at functioning.
Start sweating.
Yeah, it is a big effort. You almost got to 4 minutes. That's 338.
I noticed my heart beating the whole time, the second. I didn't even notice the first time we did it.
Uh-huh.
I did 145 the first time. And
Yeah,
230 the second.
230, man.
But the entire time, like, I recognized my heart beating.
Yeah.
And I was like, honestly, I was picturing myself surfing a wave. When we surfed last night, really on the wave.
Yes.
I was just focused on that.
On the wall.
Felt like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
starting
nice.
hard, yeah.
Very nice. I like that. It's a type of meditation, if you will. And the interoception, that perception, internal perception, gets enhanced because look at you. You're already perceiving that heart rate, which is not so easy. A handful of times I've been able to do that. And that means you're really like connected, you know, with your internal rhythms.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good job, guys. So did we get to a best personal today? 338. Kudos.
Easier in the pool.
Yeah, for some people, for most people it is, yeah. Because when we add water, we are stimulating the mammalian dive reflex. Good job, buddy. Also, that was almost 2 minutes, right? That was 150?
Yeah, that's way longer than I
Way longer than you would have, yeah. So I'm sure if we do a third one, we will probably get to 3 minutes, 2:30. 2.5, you know, 3. You never know. Training and adaptation. We are training to adapt. Adapt to discomfort, to lower levels of oxygen, higher levels of CO2, and our cells responded to it. They go, okay, this is what you're giving me to work. Okay, I'm gonna try my best. And so they just, you know, amplify their potential. Wim Hof, have you heard of Wim Hof?
Read his book.
Well, which one?
Well, the first one where he was talking about the cold plunges.
Okay, it's not the what doesn't kill you.
No.
Okay, it's the second one. Okay, Iceman.
Iceman.
Iceman. Okay, I want to get that one. I have the second one, the what doesn't kill you, which was written by Scott Carney, a guy from Colorado. That now is his detractor. It's so funny. Like now he just criticizes Hof. But anyways, Wim Hof, his method, at least his breathing, is intended to stress the cells, to starve them, and then nurture them. Starve them and then have them feast on oxygen. So again, you just it's just like everything, like stressing the muscles to then, you know, feeding them and they become stronger. So lastly, let's discuss nasal versus mouth breathing, and then we'll wrap it with a quick exercise for home, which is a recap of everything in 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So nasal breathing, super important because it filters the air, it humidifies the air, and it also facilitates for the production of nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a molecule that when in touch with the blood and with the blood vessels, it relaxes them, it dilates them. So it helps for better blood circulation. So when you run the air through your nostrils and nasal passages, you are benefiting your biology way more than running it through your mouth. That's why, you know, becoming aware of it and practicing nasal breathing and even taping your mouths at night, as some people do, will help you to stop breathing through the mouth during the night, which is, you know, where we probably have the most exposure, you know, to like cold air, dust mites, because it is constant, is open the whole time. When we're awake, we close our mouth, you know, and sometimes we breathe through our mouth, sometimes we close it, but when we're asleep, all night. So there's no filtering system throughout the mouth and trachea. It goes, whatever pathogens or dust or bacteria that enters goes straight into the lungs, and it can wreak havoc. So I'm sure there'll be much less respiratory illnesses if people were breathing through their nostrils 90% of the time. And it's a challenge for me too. I have to remind myself all the time. I have to tape my mouth at night. I have to do conscious breathing with the faith of someday having those patterns rewired completely. I'm still, you know, on that path too. That's why I love to do this, you know, and do it with people, and it is a good reminder for myself. Nasal breathing is the best. It's designed that way. You have the cilia, the vibraceae, that's the name, technical name for the nasal hair, vibraceae, maybe because it vibrates. Vibraceae traps bigger airborne particles and it results into snot, right, into the buggers. That's what it is. You can blow your nose and get rid of them, whatever, pick your nose, get rid of them. Whatever penetrates through, that's tinier particles, they'll trap the mucosa, which is a layer of humid skin with mucus in it, will trap the smaller particles, and held by another layer that's, you know, working in synergy with it throughout the ducts. It's like a carpet. It's like a carpet that has hair in it that scrapes the particles that are binding to the mucus to the back of the throat, where we swallow them ultimately, and the stomach acids will kill them, neutralize them. So that's our HVAC and filtering, purifying system. Also, the nitric oxide, the NO, nitric oxide, is an air purifier, sort of like ozone. So it also helps to neutralize pathogens. Now, if we switch to mouth breathing, it is handy for when you're snorkeling, when you're swimming, right? Like swimming, when you are probably singing or public speech, why not? You're able to recruit more air quicker to keep, going with what you want to communicate. For training as we did, because you are stronger on an inhale with mouth and trachea than just a bit stronger, so you're able to pack a little more air and to produce a stronger stimulus. Sometimes also we have deviated septums, or one nostril is clogged, the other is maybe both are clogged. So for training purposes, for recovery also, after running a sprint or doing series of exercises that are high intensity, short duration, and you're like instead of letting the breath drive you and take you wherever it wants, you control it. You see that little pause in between? Dropping everything, it increases the pulmonary pressures, pushing or shoving oxygen into the system every time for a half a second. So it increases the pressure. So that's one little trick or hack. So you control that hyperventilation. It's controlled hyperventilation much better through the mouth because you acquire more air, is a wider airway. That's what the mouth is good for. Besides talking, feeding yourself, and showing love, to your beloved ones. That'll be it. Nasal breathing, it is what we should be doing. And belly, of course, first. Then ribs. Then if we need them, we know the accessory. So the add-ons for when you're exerting high levels is mouth and accessory muscles. Other than that, nasal, belly, and ribs for 90% of the time, 80% of the time. Unless you're always training and that's 50% of your time or something. Guys, quick wrap up for home exercises on your own, even if you don't have assisted, like a buddy or tools to do it. You do 1 minute or 2 or 3, whatever, but 1 minute we'll do it of belly or diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe placing your dominant hand on your belly button. 1 minute or 2 minutes of that. Then on your own, press firmly. 1-2 minutes before doing your jog or your exercise or your training practice. 1 minute up here. Recruiting all of these muscles. Right, that's 1, 2, 3. Then a whole deep breath. You can do pursed lips on the exhale or S sounds. That's it. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes of that same. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And lay on your yoga mat or your sofa and prepare for another minute with diaphragmatic breathing, maybe some sighing. That'll be 5 minutes. Take a deep breath in, start your stopwatch. Let's say that's a minute or 2 or 3 of a breath hold, and that's great. That'll be 5, 6, 7 minutes. And when you finish your breath hold, you recover. So you do your, it's called actually hook breath, and it's actually brought from the aviators in the Army, from the Air Force. The hook breath was a breath that jet pilots or like warplane pilots invented in I think World War II, to be able to cope with the oscillating altitudes, where they'll go hypoxic, and this engineer or physician guy came up with the concept of, hey, just grab a lot of air, lock it in for a half a second, so you push that oxygen into the alveoli. It's almost like dealing with altitude disease or sickness. How do you call it? Disease or sickness? Altitude sickness. And so because there's a lack of pressure, there's less atmospheric pressure at high altitude, so you have to create that pressure yourself, in you, in order to compensate. So it's a compensation type of breath. So the hook breath, you usually do it when low levels of oxygen are imminent and high levels of CO2. So you're doing both, ventilating and letting all that CO2 out quick, and also pressurizing in every cycle. So it looks like this. So like pressing, pressing, pressing. It's called the hook breath, and it's crazy. It comes from the Air Force. And so when you finish your breath hold, you do a few cycles of those hook breaths, and then that's it. That'll be yours, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and you go out the door and you have advantage with you. You have some tailwind for your training, for your practice. You'll be able to recruit more muscles in your breathing system, and that'll make you more effective at what you're doing. So plus it'll downregulate you. And know also one last thing, that long exhales will also keep you in the relaxed side of things. Long exhales. That's why we S sound our exhales, making it last longer. And that's that's another interesting tip. Guys, we could be here sitting for hours talking and practicing because there's a lot more, but this is, some basic, really physiological understanding of the breathing. My background is from free diving, because I've done a couple of certifications which taught me a lot of the physiology of it, and safety and all that. And by the way, the test for acquiring your first level 1 certification, there's a few tests. You have a cognitive test, and knowledge, information about physiology, and explain the Bohr effect, explain what's hypoxia, what's hypercapnia, what's this, what's that, explain diaphragmatic breathing and the benefits, whatever. So, but then you have the static breath hold test, which is 3 minutes for level 1, and so you're right there. And then we have to do an open water immersion that's 66 feet or 20 meters. That's for level 1. So you have the open water constant wake dive, the pool static breath hold 3 minutes, and then the exams, the tests. On level 2, the pool training, the pool static breath hold is 4 minutes. The open ocean dive, constant weight, it's called constant weight, with free diving fins, weight belt, wetsuit, mask, snorkel, that's it, and line yard. It gets you to 100 feet. That's 34, 35 meters. And 4 minutes on a pool, and then more physiology and more information. And so far I did those 2, and I'm looking forward to do the 3rd one at some point. But also that's a path that if you go into it, you're supposed to also keep up with it, like stay training, go for your dives, and not all the time the setup is that easy. You need access to like deep waters, boat, buddies. You can't go solo, and you need tools. And then there's so many other sports that we're doing and stuff. But just so you get a little bit of a background that I have, like where did it all come from? So, any questions? Any doubts? Any? Okay, well, it's been a great. Good job. Yeah. Excellent. For sure, in the water is going to be a different equation. We're going to have a lot of fun on the pool training. Thanks for attending, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys. Good seeing you all. If I'll roll those mats, I'll spray them.